And what I'm going to share with you today is three different mindsets that I don't see taught anywhere else in the profession, starting with deserving belief for having the practice you want.
Welcome to the Table Talk podcast, where we get real, meeting with industry professionals and experts in the chiropractic world, talking about the newest and latest, how to scale your practice, the struggles that we all face in practice, and how you can take your practice to the next level. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Chiropractic Marketing Secrets podcast. I am yours truly, Dr. Kendall Price. And with me today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Josh Wagner from Patient Mastery. And he's going to be going through and talking about something that I think a lot of chiropractors are dealing with. Especially we've seen this, at least I've heard this a lot post-COVID, especially through COVID, a lot of burnout. And I think that you've got some very unique things, that you want to talk about. So Doc, I will turn it over to you. What do you have to share with us today that you think is going to make the biggest difference for chiropractors?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kendall. So I've been coaching, teaching, helping chiropractors for 10 years. And what I'm going to share with you today is three different mindsets that I don't see taught anywhere else in the profession, starting with deserving belief for having the practice you want, unneediness, so patients are attracted to you and don't feel like you need them more than they need you, which is a repellent, and the universal most attractive mentality of I want what you want, without abandoning your philosophy or your technique or anything like that when it comes to helping patients get to where they're going through your protocol. So you get paid out of pocket and patients follow your recommendations. So I'm going to be touching on all of those and sharing how they came about and how it can immediately make a difference in your practice. With that being said, Ken, was there anything else you wanted to say intro-wise? Or should I just
No,
go?
I think that's great. I mean, I think that, if you wouldn't mind just start, into telling us a little bit about your story and then let's jump into it. I'm excited to hear more.
Absolutely. So like I said, it's been 10 years now I've been coaching chiropractors. I'm out of practice for about 6 years now. I realized I have 1,000 times more passion and ability helping more chiropractors help more people than seeing patients one-to-one in care. I had a practice in Manhattan. What I'm noticing, Kendall, you mentioned after COVID, you're noticing a lot of burnout from docs. What I noticed is over the past 10 years, which is clearly way before COVID hit, is it's the biggest discrepancy right now in our profession between the two groups, kind of like how you hear the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It is so apparent. There is one group where things are going well and like constant increase and breaking records. That's one faction of the profession. And there's another faction of just banging their head against the wall, trying to do things that worked maybe pre-COVID or in the 80s and 90s. And it just doesn't apply to the public's mentality today. Perception is different. The way the world works has changed, let alone insurance not reimbursing what they used to, or anything like that. So it is so clear when I work with docs, and what's amazing is the docs that learn this patient mastery proven process, all we hear in the group, win, record breaking, and everyone's helping each other. And I'm going to share with you things that you can use directly today or next week in practice and for the rest of your career, because it all starts from your headspace. We say, grow the doctor, grow the practice, grow your life. It all starts what's going on up here. With that being said, when I was about 20 is when I decided to become a chiropractor. I don't know how it happened. It popped into my head one day, divine inspiration, and I'm a go-getter. I was a sophomore at NYU in Manhattan, undergrad, and I thought, no chiropractors in my family, had never been to one. My mother and brother had both been to one for normal back stuff and gotten good results. And I thought, let me go call some chiropractors, visit them, and make sure this is what I think it is. So after visiting a half a dozen, one of them that I saw was the most successful, I started interning over the summer, shadowing him, doing screenings for them, doing filing, just getting myself immersed. And when he realized, hey, this guy's really going to go to chiropractic school in 2 years, he said, Josh, if you're serious about becoming a chiropractor, you need to go to this meeting on Thursday night in Brooklyn and listen to this doc talk. And this was Brooklyn 20 years ago, not the high-end real estate, fancy pizza places, and not the nicest section of Brooklyn, not the place you're going to take a date. And I show up on a Thursday night and he says, be there at 7:15 and go into the basement. And, that already sounds ominous because good things don't usually happen in basements. And I show up to this small house in between buildings. There's a front gate went through. The front door is literally unlocked, which is unheard of. And this is not a nice part of Brooklyn, kind of the part that you'd want to, drop a kid off if you're trying to teach him a lesson, that kind of part. And open the door, and I could tell it's like an old person's house, like the color of the wallpaper. There's wolves, drawings of wolves framed on the wall, really weird. I find the door to the basement. I start going down these creaky stairs, and I notice it's all lit up, and there's rows of church benches filled with adults who I figured are chiropractors, but no one's talking. Everyone's just sitting there waiting, looking up at the front where there's a wall of white, green boards, like blackboards. And I sit next to a guy, introduce myself. He's a chiropractor. I tell him I'm still a student. And then at 7:15, from the back of the room, a 96-year-old chiropractor walked up and for the next 40 minutes spoke and taught on chiropractic, on philosophy, on personal growth, on spirituality. And that's Pasquale Sarasole. You could find YouTube videos of him online. He's considered the godfather of chiropractic. And over the next 2 years, he became one of my mentors before unfortunately passing a few years ago. And Pasquale was one of those guys, you cut open his arm and it says chiropractic on his bone. He just lived and breathed it. He had a practice out of his house that I think it was 7 days a week. There would be a line wrapped around the block of people waiting to see him. I think he charged $5 an adjustment, or it was like $2 adjustment. And this was back in like the 50s, $2 an adjustment, but you can skip the line for $5. Very HIPAA compliant.
Yeah.
And just a beautiful soul, a contribution to the profession. And every Thursday in his 90s was still speaking to chiropractors, past patients, past employees. And I got a chance to experience that personally and even do some retreats with him. And I'm going to boil in 3 words everything Pasquale taught into these 3 words that is going to set a trajectory for how you can choose living your life and going into practice with more intentionality, purpose, and getting better results. So literally 3 words. So if you're able to take notes, write this down. I share this at my seminars, and I've literally had chiropractors tattoo this on their forearm. I don't have it, however. Tattooed on the forearm because it's a constant reminder of how I want to go through life. So I actually wrote it out for you to make it even more clear. Those 3 words: tone over bone. What does that mean? It relates on the chiropractic level. It relates on the human level. Tone over bone. Tone is your intention. It's your focus. It's why you do what you do. Bone, that's what you do. So tone is the being, bone is the doing. Bone is the strategy. Bone is the words you say. Bone is the actions you take. Tone over bone. No differently than chiropractic. Think about your technique. Think about 10 doctors who do Gonstead, 10 doctors who do Nuka, 10 doctors who do decompression. The tone of the doctor, the intentionality of that doctor is always going to have more influence on that patient and that patient's healing and results than the bone they choose to adjust. Why? Every technique works. What comes down to it is the quality of that practitioner and their intentionality of facilitating healing. So tone over bone, this can be applied before you walk into a new patient consult. Is your tone one of, I'm nervous, I don't know if I'm going to say the right stuff? Is your tone, I've got to convince this person that chiropractic is the best thing for them for the rest of their life? Or is your tone, I'm going to start a patient on care and change their life. I'm going to open them up to this new understanding of something they can use to be their healthiest. The bone is the words you say. And there's a place for both. If you just have the tone, but you have no strategy and no bone, a lot of things are going to get wonky. If you have the bone, I can give the perfect consult, the perfect fees, the perfect recommendations to 10 chiropractors, but if they don't know why they're doing it, they'll still fall on their face. They'll still feel like a robot. So tone over bone, think about it in any aspect. You're getting up and giving a talk, you're going into a new patient consult, you're hiring a team member, you're choosing your fees. If you're not coming from a confident, empowered, valuable place, the fees you set aren't going to be aligned with you, and people are going to feel that and say, I need to think about it. Let me come back after the holidays. Or the phone's just going to ring less. So much of what we do in patient mastery is harness and focus on the tone. And that's what I'm going to share with you. 3 of the most important mindsets, intentionalities, tones that we teach inside of patient mastery. So you have your best practice ever. You don't have to necessarily get new equipment or get tons more new patients to be able to start seeing consistent growth and love being in practice. So the first one is the most important. I've never heard anyone talk about it in our profession. I wrote a book on it right before COVID, and you can get it on my website for free, download it for free at patientmastery.com. And I'm going to ask you a question. And it's a simple yes or no answer that's going to reveal what your tone is when it comes to the trajectory of your practice and getting the results you want. So think about, most likely when you were in grad school, you had a vision for the practice you wanted to create. I know I did. And it changed over time. What I wanted at 26 years old was different at 30, at different 35. So whether it's what you envisioned originally, if that's still your vision, or right now, what you envision as your ideal practice, just hold that in your headspace. The look, the feel, the numbers, all of that. And answer this question to yourself, honestly, gut response. Doc, do you truly believe you deserve having that practice success? Do you truly believe you deserve having that practice success? You either got a yes, a no, or kind of nothing, a blank, and that would be a no. And guess what? If you're feeling down on yourself because you got a no, that's okay. That's human. That is what so much of the profession deals with, is what I call an undeserving belief for the results you want to get. If that's your tone, it doesn't matter what your fees are, how many new patients you see, how tall you are, how great your team is, what town you are. It doesn't matter. If your tone is off, your strategy will be sabotaged. So the number one most important thing when it comes to tone we teach is deserving. I don't know if that's showing up well. And it's especially hard for chiropractors. Unlike, let's just say, dentists, PTs, MDs, other people in the healthcare field, chiropractors, we have stigma. Too many of us feel like the redheaded stepchild to medicine. We aren't confident and certain in not our technique, but how society perceives us, whether it's the new patient, whether it's the MD that should be referring more to us. And we get stuck. For me, it was when I told my mom I wanted to become a chiropractor. Pretty much every time we brought it up over the next 5 years, she was like, you sure you don't want to become a medical doctor? How come not medicine? What do you think that did to me? That made me second guess. Is this really what I should be doing? Like, the most significant person in my life is doubting me. But it also made me become that much more certain in what I was doing and why I was choosing it, because I had a lot of intentionality when I chose to become a chiropractor, not just this sounds good. So deserving belief, what we teach, and this is where you can download the book from my website. It is a meditation that you can do, doesn't cost a dime, from the comfort of your own home, don't need to be on the phone with anyone. There's an audio download to guide you through it. And it is serious, in-depth inner work that's going to get you through undeserving beliefs. And we call it the deserving process. And that's not something I could teach on this short video, but you can go learn it absolutely free today. Start using it. And after the first time you do it, after the first 2, 3, you will literally start feeling more certain, more confident, better about the future, what it holds, less anxious, less fear. And then as you start building this muscle and your undeserving goes down and your deserving goes up, you will start seeing your results change, even though you're not doing anything dramatically different. You're literally tapping into life bringing you in alignment circumstances for where you are resonating. And in the practice or in the field of chiropractic, we have a huge undeserving issue. And this could be applied to anywhere. It could be applied to your fees. It could be applied to your clinical care results. It could be applied to how many new patients you attract and generate monthly. Deserving and undeserving isn't a stamp that was put on your forehead at birth or that you got right now. It has an application in every sliver of your life. So every sliver of practice, and then it's applied to your health, your finances, your relationships, your happiness. So you can target where in your life you want to apply the deserving process to start seeing new results and really start taking charge and owning your life. Kendall, yeah, any questions on this?
That is just so good. I mean, I can remember with having two brothers who had come out of chiropractic school and gone on to associate and then open their own practices or buy practices. It resonates so much with me because that was the question when I told my parents I was going to be opening my own practice from scratch. They're like, "Are you sure that that's a good idea?" So I feel that. So and I dealt with a little bit of this early on, but I had the fortunate, that one of my brothers really gave me a lot of encouragement in the process of that. So I think that, man, you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, we see this all the time. Grow the doctor, grow the practice, and of course, grow your life. Our goal is that you can double collections, double profits, 3-day weekends every single week, not have to change your technique, not have to add new services, and most importantly, never say something to a patient or a new patient that you wouldn't feel comfortable and confident saying to your own mother. Now, that's not very common in what chiropractors are taught, unfortunately. That's another thing that leads to undeserving. I've been part of multiple coaching and management systems starting as early as undergrad, let alone grad school. And so many things I was taught to say to a new patient caused my stomach to be in a knot, be like, ooh, I don't think I could go back to my hometown if that's how I'm taught to speak to people. What if like an MD or someone who's kind of like knowledgeable about the body came in? Like, I can't make those claims or references. That really sabotages a lot of our profession. And the trends in our profession have gone from, when insurance came out, so this is predating, like when it first evolved in the 70s or late 70s. So the 80s practice management and coaching was all about education. Hey, pretty much people don't have to pay for care. So the more you educate them and all they have to pay is a $5 or $10 copay, or, coaches would be like, waive it and then just bill insurance. Just keep educating people. Oh yeah, just come in every week for the rest of your life. Like, it's really easy to build a practice. Then insurance started to decline in the late 90s, early 2000s, and just continues to do. And then docs realized, ooh, that care class and that table talk isn't actually working. And that hour-long report of findings doesn't do the same thing. So it turned into fear tactics. And that was a big thing in the early 2000s, 2010. And then you realized, you know what? Chiropractors, we're really good people. We got into it usually for a really humanistic reason. Using scare care and fear tactics just doesn't feel comfortable to 95% of the profession. So then we've went on to the next iteration. And what's that changed in the last 10 plus years is becoming a salesperson in practice and having to close patients. And you know what? No differently, if you're a chiropractor and you got into it to help people and help them get back to their life, which is my intention and what patient mastery stands for, feeling like you have to go in and be a salesperson every day also doesn't resonate. That's not why we became a chiropractor. So what patient mastery is taking it to the next level is everything you say. You feel inspired and empowered. You'd be happy if your mother was your own patient or in another patient mastery doc's office, and you were helping people get back to their life and starting care. Big difference. And that is the next tone, which is, I want what you want. So I, as the DC, want what you, as the chiro want, as the patient wants. Now, some chiros immediately get triggered by that because you're thinking, well, from a philosophical standpoint, the patient just wants to get out of pain, and chiropractic isn't just about pain relief. I agree with you, Doc. Remember, I grew up with Pasquale Sarasoli, the most philosophical chiropractor in existence. I know what you mean, and I agree with you. And There's a level of your philosophy stays in here, but how you communicate, what patients can hear, has to be on their level. So what a patient wants, of course, everyone wants to be out of pain, but they don't just want to be out of pain. Otherwise, they'd be just taking Novocaine shots and, overdosing on Tylenol and all that. They want to get better. When you focus on what getting out of pain and getting their mobility, their health back, the difference that makes in their life, we call that the third essential in patient mastery. Third essential is how this makes a difference in their life. Is it being able to pick up their grandchildren? Is it being able to sleep through the night so they're ready for work the next day? Is it being able to dance at their daughter's wedding? Is it being able to swing a golf club? When you focus on your care is going to get them back to the life they want and maybe even better than it ever was. And of course, getting out of pain and symptoms changing are part of that. That's part of the pathway to that. But when you focus on them getting back to their life, and that's what they hear, and that's what they understand they're paying for, they're investing in, and why you may be seeing them for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever you think is clinically necessary, it changes the entire conversation compared to you need to come in this many times over this amount to change this subluxation, to change this curvature, to change these scans, to change this postural distortion, to allow more nerve flow. All of that is true. And that's what needs to stay in here for you, and why you clinically are doing what you're doing. But verbally, everything needs to be what the patient can understand. And when you make that switch of patients are paying for and investing in the optimistic expectation to get their life back, you will see easier payment than ever before, even when people hope their insurance would pay and you either don't take it or they have a huge deductible. The game changes. And it's beautiful because you're talking about what that person cares about, and every conversation is unique and different, and you don't have to feel like a scripted robot saying the same things in your recommendations every single time.
You know what's cool about that? So we do this exact same thing. So we have a call center with with Elevate, and we do this exact same thing with the people who make calls, and we are consistent. Since we changed to making our scripting more like this, we actually saw almost a 60% increase in the number of patients that booked.
Yeah. And what I'm saying here, I'm more mainly focused on the docs, and you're doing the consults, you're doing the recommendations. This starts with that new patient phone call. Whether you're doing a call center or in your practice, you've got to be finding out, I was just training docs on this yesterday, not just how quickly can I get them off the phone and in the books, but clearly what the condition is and how it's messing with their life. So you can also let them know, we've seen that. We've seen countless people get through that, and we're looking forward to doing the same for you.
Yep.
It makes a difference.
Powerful.
Literally, if you just go into the tone is, I want what you want. The bone, the strategy, the action, 3 essentials is focusing on that, making sure you're getting it and repeating it to them. We have a 5-step recommendations conversation. You do it in less than 10 minutes. Again, you'd be proud if your own mother experienced it. A 6-question consult, which is going to separate you from any doc they've ever been to in their life. And literally, docs and patient mastery start getting referrals just after the consult. You didn't touch them. You didn't get them better because they'd never had an experience with a doc that they felt so connected to and felt cared about them so much. So this is the bone. This is the strategy. And if you, even without knowing the 6-question consult of 5 steps, if you just go into your next consult, your next recommendations with the tone of, I want what this person wants, not how can I get out of this practice as quickly as possible in 2 visits with a disc injury and be pain-free forever? That's not realistic. People want to be pain-free, but they also want to be healthy. They want to be healed and fixed, and they want to get back to doing the things they love. So when that's your tone and that's your focus, people will feel that, and you don't even have to have all the right words, and they'll resonate with you. But when you combine the right tone and the right words, that's when magic happens. Now, the third tone that I'm going to share today, so 1, 2, 3, is Unneediness. What does that mean? So when it comes to relationships in any form, doctor-patient, romantic, the number one most repelling energy and tone is neediness. When someone feels that you need them more than they need you, you move the other way. And unfortunately, in chiropractic, we've developed as a profession a lot of neediness. And it comes from a lot of the age-old practice management. You need to see everyone in your town. You need to see 1,000 patients a week. You need to see them. You need to have a PVA of 75 within the first year. All of this stuff that, first off, has nothing to do oftentimes with you having the best life and making the most money and just helping people get well. Hey, if you help someone get well in one visit compared to 3, does it make a difference? Why not get paid twice as much in one visit than what you would have gotten in 3 visits? Kind of better business model, right? But unneediness has seeped into our profession largely because of lack of certainty and confidence by the leaders in our profession. I'm not going to get into that. But what you need, patients need you. You need to understand that patients inherently need you more than you need them. If a patient isn't a fit, like you're in a consult, and I don't mean you don't think you can solve their issue or get them progress, but literally you just know this person is going to be an energy vampire. They're going to be a cancer to your practice, your front desk. If you have the ability and the power and the certainty to refer that patient out before even accepting money from them, it will open the door for 2 to 3 of the right ones coming in because you have the constant confidence and the unneediness of you standing up for yourself and your team and your practice. Now, I'm not saying that's something that's going to happen 50% of the time, but it may happen 1 in 20 or less. Unneediness is going to have people attracted to you, but you've got to own it first, that you've got what they want, and they wouldn't have called up, they wouldn't have been in your practice if they didn't truly need you. There's always another new patient behind the one right there. So specifically, the tone of being unneedy translates into, we call it the 3-step new patient process. And step 2 of the recommendations. I'll briefly go over. So step 2 in the 5-step recommendations, you literally say sentences that cause that patient to have the light bulb go on of, wow, this doctor does not need me. Very different than the stereotypical chiro ROF that's kind of like trying to twist their arm and overcome objections to get them to pay you. Here's another thing. If you're focused on overcoming objections, it means whatever you're doing in the first place isn't working because you're doing objections, and now you've got to overcome them. Not a fun way to go through practice. So if you're in the mindset of I've got to learn how to overcome objections, it's because what you're doing on the front end is not working well. The 3-step new patient process. This could be on your website. This could be on the new patient phone call. This is literally letting people know you're going to start with a complimentary consult with the doctor. If we aren't a fit or we can't help you, we will show you who can. We will tell you who can. We will refer you to who can. Now, instead of that coming off as you may not be in the solution or you being weak or not confident, that comes off as trustworthy, honest, and complimentary consult with the doctor, not an assistant. For free, you're going to be told we're the right place for you. Then you can proceed with an exam and it's paid, or a referral to who is the right place. So that's the first step, unneediness. First step of the 3-step process, complimentary consult with the doctor. Second, if they go forward, if you deem, based on what they told you in the consult, you can help them go forward with the exam. And then the next step, paid exam. Don't do exams for free. Yes, there's a place for savings and discounts, but don't do things completely for free. From the exam, same thing as from the consult. Based on what we find in the exam, then if we know we can help you, we'll go forward with care. Notice the if, very strong. That person has to qualify not based on their personality or their horoscope, but based on what's actually going on with them. And if they qualify based on an objective exam, then you're telling them with certainty, we're going to change your life. We're going to help you get back to your life. And that's a nice change from someone thinking, oh, chiropractors say they can fix everything, help everything, and you have to go for the rest of your life. You're changing the script while being completely honest, clinically congruent, and powerful. And so when you bring unneediness and your CAs are trained on unneediness on that new patient phone call, you will also see more attraction, and the people that are coming to you are asking for care rather than deciding, is this the right chiropractor for me? You know, can I find this cheaper somewhere else? Can I find a chiropractor who will do it in less visits or less time? You won't have that new patient. When you truly believe you deserve the practice that you envision, when you're coming from a place of, I want what you want, and when you're displaying unneediness. And then, of course, actually acting out the words, the conversations, the structures. Kendall, what are you hearing from this? I've been going nonstop.
Yeah, no, I love it. I've always been a big believer in a be, do, have mentality. And I think that what you just did there is succinctly took that into that sort of a mentality that that truth be told, it's exactly the way that I've always done business and practice. And I think that it's so powerful with a new patient, with business in general, to just do things in a way that's congruent to serve others. And when you serve others in a congruent manner like that, I think that it just returns tenfold to you.
100%. I think there's a real false belief virus in our profession that we have to be someone different in order to get patients to follow us, pay, refer,
Yep.
follow our recommendations. And it's like, hey, there's things to not say, there's things to better say, but you don't have to be a cookie cutter version of someone else. You
Yep.
shouldn't be doing anything that isn't aligned with your identity, your philosophy, your clinical congruence. You can truly focus on helping more people get well, and you will be able to make dollars, profits, not volume. Volume doesn't pay your student loans off.
Yep.
Money, profits. When you're focused on just helping people get well, and you've got your fees in a good place, you've got care plans, and we show you like exact templates. This is how to do it. Not cookie cutter for everyone. Clinical congruence based on different cases. When you've got your stuff in order, you can truly focus on just being a good doctor, and you will make the income that you deserve in exchange for helping people get back to their life. So I say all the time, you deserve to have an amazing life as a chiropractor in exchange for helping other people, and so many people, get back to their life, not trying to get the scraps of what insurance is still paying, or thinking you have to, abandon chiropractic and do all these crazy wonky services. And I'm not saying, oh, only be a straight chiropractor, but a lot of chiropractors chase shiny objects of, oh, I've got to do this thing because I think that's what people pay for.
Yep.
No, they're not paying for the service. They're paying to get their life back. Now, if you think your care is limited and you want to incorporate laser, shockwave, decompression, go for it. As long as it's clinically congruent, you're going to help more people get back to their life. Just remember, they're not paying for that service unless you make it about that. And then if you make it about that, that's when they're going to price shop. If you make it about their third essential, what they truly want, they're not going to be price shopping. They're going to be thinking, I've never met a doctor who cared this much and was so on board for what I want.
Yeah.
Let me start today. Here's my credit card.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And I think that that's such a powerful way to do it. Well, Doc, we are getting to a general time frame. As we close up here, what are your last words of advice? And should people want to connect with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Last words for advice are, if what you're doing feels like you're banging your head against the wall, whether it comes primarily when it comes to patients following your recommendations and paying when insurance doesn't cover, contribute, if you're even in relationship with them, if that's not getting the results that you want, you got to change it up. You can't keep doing the same thing and think it'll just get better next season or next year. No, it's just going to get worse. Do something different. If you want help from us, go to patientmastery.com, patientmastery.com, and throw it in the chat. You could download my book, You Deserve It, and start learning the process. You could see a bunch of free videos on the actual bones, like say this, don't say this. You could bring it right into your consult. And then if you actually want personal help, like a one-to-one gifted call with one of my coaches, we will show you exactly what's missing in your current practice, setup, strategies, procedures that's keeping you from literally doubling this year and doubling income. And for most docs, that's a good 20 to 25,000 more a month in profit. That makes a difference with knocking out the bad debt, saving for the future, and giving your family the life they deserve now. And you can get all of that, patientmastery.com, or whichever one resonates with you. But that's the most important thing I could tell any chiropractor.
I have nothing more to add to that. Doc, I think this was a gold podcast, and I think that people are going to take a lot of value. So thank you so much for being on, and we will see you guys on the next one. Everybody have a great rest of your day. If you enjoyed this episode of Table Talk, a chiropractic podcast, make sure that you subscribe and check out the links below to our free Facebook group with chiropractic marketing secrets, our free resource guides, and the links to all of the guests that we have here on the show and ways to be able to connect with them. Thanks and God bless.